And I think that's probably why I went for the here's my journey kind of perspective, because
Mhm.
nobody else has that, my unique journey. So I think that's where anybody could start.
Welcome to the Data Nerd Podcast. I'm your host, Nisar Ahmed. Join me as we explore the inner data nerd inside all of us. Dive into the world of data alongside special guests who not only share their wealth of experience and knowledge, but also unveil what truly makes them data nerds. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a comment wherever you listen. And for all episodes, plus exclusive merch like the Data Nerd hat, head over to the datanerdpodcast.com. Alli, welcome to the Data Nerd Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. We've been talking about getting this done for before the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So excited to have you on and I've thrown out some podcast ideas or topic ideas for today with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this topic that we're going to talk about is I don't know. Maybe it'll resonate with people, or maybe it'll spark ideas. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it will definitely spark some ideas for some people.
Yeah, and what we want to talk about is how to get your voice heard. How to get your, I guess more specifically, your data voice out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You and I have podcasts. This is how we leverage our voice. Is one of the ways that we do it. So I'd love to talk to you about the benefits, pros and cons, or maybe different ways people can do it and
Mm-hmm.
how it can help. Maybe we could talk about our respective stories and see, our journeys and things that we may have learned that other people can uh, take some what do you call it? Take
Yeah,
some
it's some
action.
inspo.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But before we start, I have a little intro, and there's I ran it through Chat GPT a little bit. So let's see how good it came
Let's see if
out.
it knew me well.
Let's see. So Alli Torban is a data visualization specialist, author of ChartSpark, and host of Data Viz Today podcast. With a background in mathematics and geospatial intelligence, she began her career solving data challenges for government agencies, nonprofits, and corporate clients in Washington, D.C. Today, Alli is on a mission to transform how people learn data literacy and inspire the next generation of creative information designers. She has delivered keynotes at organizations like Google and Moderna, shared her work in publications such as Axios and the Washingtonian, and co-founded the Elevate Data Viz learning community. Her contributions to the field earned her the prestigious Impactful Community Leader Award from the Data Visualization Society.
That sounds great. That's me.
That's quite a resume. When did you win that award at the Data
That
Visualization?
was 2022. I was just looking at the little
You were looking at the
award.
plaque.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2022. You know how COVID just kind of warped everybody's view
Oh,
of time. I was going to say 2023. It was 2022.
these last 5 years, like I don't know where they went.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I got to start doing more like big things each year just so I can know, okay, that was the year. 2023 was I did this thing. 2024 was this, I did this thing.
Yeah. It kind of feels like those years, COVID years and a few years afterwards, like that's all that happened those years, right?
Yeah.
It kind of
Yeah, it took over
like
everything.
a time warp.
Mm-hmm.
Um, no, but listen, actually what I do want to start with, Data Nerd Podcast, I ask all my guests if you're a data nerd. And if
Mm-hmm.
so, tell me a time when you realized you were one.
Oh, a data nerd.
Hmm.
Um, when did I realize I was a data nerd? Well, I would kind of, wouldn't call myself a data nerd, but I would call myself a data viz nerd. And I think I realized that when I started getting a Washington Post newspaper subscription.
Hmm.
Sounds like such a weird thing to say. It's like, how do you even
Uh,
say that you get a newspaper delivered to your house?
who does that anymore?
No, no one
Folding
does that anymore.
newspapers?
This was back in like 2016, 2017-ish.
Yeah.
And I found myself just flipping through it, just looking for the charts because I wanted to see. I just loved how they did maps and charting. It just was, it's so clear and beautiful how they were creating graphics. So I was just, I would, I got the newspaper subscription so I could read the newspaper and just kind of stay up to date on things. I kind of wanted to have something physical. But then I found myself just flipping through it and picking out the charts. And I actually started cutting them out and putting them in
Yeah.
a notebook.
Do you have that notebook still?
I probably do. It is probably in some sort of box. And I was like, I think I kind of like data viz. I might be a
Which
little bit of a nerd.
which newspaper was this again?
This is Washington Post.
So they have good visuals
Oh, they
in
do.
there?
You know, New York Times has great graphics. Axios has great graphics, even though they don't have a print version. But yeah, a lot of the big newspapers have really invested in a giant graphics team now.
I have seen good ones out there, but at the same time, I've seen some bad ones too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
It
know?
kind of depends. I'm sure that some of the journalists are creating graphics themselves, or maybe have someone who's maybe not as
Experience.
experienced, yes,
Yeah.
creating them, but the people on the graphics teams are really stellar.
Yeah. I mean, because they usually hire people who have a good eye for art, right? It's in the
Mhm.
newspaper business, I guess you need to have some of that, right?
Yeah, you got to catch people's eye, or, like on the stocks page, maybe they've got, like some really basic charts, but I really do like the breadth. Some of the things are more creative and artistic, like you said, integrating illustrations also. And then some of the things are just very utilitarian.
So is that what got you down the path of data viz? Was that the beginning? Is that your origin story?
I think that that was the beginning part where I thought I want to be a graphics reporter at the Washington Post. I was like, I didn't start out saying like I want to be a database designer. That felt I didn't really know exactly what that was, but I thought, ooh, that would be really cool to be able to be a graphics designer at the Washington Post. Kind of
And
like, yeah, that's
and
how I kind
and
of
did
jumped
you,
into it.
and that's how you got started?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I did not become a
Yes.
graphics designer. It's like everybody's career. You start and you take one step in one direction, and then like more opportunities are created and presented to you, and then you shift and things. So that is how I started, but I didn't actually end up there. At least not yet. I guess we'll see.
Oh, yeah, that's still your goal?
No, not really. But you never
Okay.
know. You never know how things
Hey,
turn out,
listen,
right?
here's what I here's what I've learned, okay? I I don't think you should ever say no to opportunities because you never know what they may lead to, even if it's something that you may not have thought of or maybe not your ideal opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying like take everything that's offered to you, but like if somebody wants to reach out and talk to you about something that like doesn't hurt to talk to
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Yeah, I think what you're saying is more like the opportunity might not look exactly like you expect it to look, right?
yes, and you don't know what other opportunities might present themselves
What
as
it
a
might
result,
turn into.
what it
Yeah.
might turn into. Yeah. And I mean, I'll give you an example, and this is what I wanted to talk about is, getting your voice out there, your data voice out there, right? So
Hmm.
you and I both have podcasts. Why did we start these podcasts? What's your story? I'll tell you mine, but let me hear yours first, and tell me how it's helped you personally and
Mm.
professionally.
Yeah, talk about opportunities. I think pretty much everything, all my opportunities stemmed from starting the podcast.
Mm,
So I started as a data analyst, business systems analyst type jobs. And then after I had my second daughter, I stopped working completely. And I thought, okay, well, during this time where, there's still a toddler and a baby, I have a little bit of breathing room to figure out what I want to do instead. And so I was trying to think of kind of like these half pivots I could do from kind of a data analyst into data visualization, because I kind of found that I really like that field, from seeing
mhm.
the newspaper. And I thought it would be also a flexible job. So something I could do from home. So still take care of my kids. doing these maybe pitching some data journalism stories. And so I was listening to a lot of podcasts to learn about it. And, being home alone with your babies, your
Yeah.
hands are very busy. You're feeding, you're cleaning up, you're putting someone to sleep and stuff. So I actually listened to a lot of podcasts so that I felt a connection to the outside world when I was kind of isolated from the outside world. And
Mhm.
I just thought it was so amazing that I could learn so much about this new field to me, this data visualization field, while being at home. And so I fell in love with podcasts completely. I listened to Data Stories mostly with Enrico Bertini and Moritz Stefaner. That was the first. That's like the original data
Mhm.
visualization podcast, and they always sounded like they were having so much fun. This field sounded so amazing, and I really wanted to get into it, but I didn't really know how. So then I just randomly had this idea maybe I could start my own podcast where I can basically have a direct line to these data viz designers, an excuse to talk to them and be like,
Yeah.
what tools are you using? How are you doing this? And no one would have expected who knew me as someone who would start a podcast because
Why?
I'm very introverted. Like I see your shirt says
You
National
see my
Introvert
shirt?
Society.
I wore this on purpose. For those who are watching on video, if it's on audio, I have a shirt on that says National Introvert Society. Okay. And I wore this on purpose today because and I heard this from you too on I think you were a guest on other podcasts. You were talking about your story, and I
Yeah.
could relate to it. And you and I are both introverts, but we're both doing podcasts.
Hmm.
And I wanted I think I mean this applies to everybody, but I especially want introverts to hear this because a lot of times they they're afraid. They don't think they can do it. And
Yeah.
your story is an example of that.
Yeah, they think that, well, I mean, doesn't someone who hosts a podcast, aren't they the type of person who wants all the attention on them and likes to hear the sound of their own voice? And yeah, sure, maybe, I mean, probably often that is true, but that doesn't mean those are the only people that start podcasts and it's out of reach for you just because you don't think of yourself that way. And I didn't. And I was just terrified of being live on a call with someone and
Mm,
trusting myself that I would know what question to ask. So actually the first 30 episodes, I would send a questionnaire to the person I wanted to interview and they would fill it out. And then I would go and create like a script for myself talking about how they created this visualization. And then I would create my own visualization based on what a piece of what they said that inspired me. So I was able to have complete control over the
yeah.
podcast episode, and there was no chaos that could be mixed in. I didn't have to think on my feet. So you don't have to start a podcast and do it in a way that you feel like everybody else does it. Do it so in any kind of way that makes you feel comfortable, and then you can always change. So on my
Mhm.
31st episode, I think I finally was thought, okay, I think I can do this. And I did the interview with someone I trusted. I think it was RJ Andrews. Like, okay, I can have this conversation. I'll edit it after if I sound like an idiot. And then you just slowly get better at it.
You know, I can relate to so much of that. When I started, I had the same fear. I was like, do I know if I'm gonna be asked the right questions, or can I have hold conversations?
Hmm.
Know the not that I'm answering questions, but you still have to know what they're talking about
Yeah.
and be able to conversate with them, right? It's
Hmm.
not a job interview, right? It's a discussion. And so in the beginning, I also used to write my questions out, send it to them in advance so that they're prepared and I'm prepared.
Hmm.
I don't do that. I didn't send you any questions in
Hmm.
advance of this.
Hmm.
Actually, my preparation started yesterday when I messaged you and
Hmm.
I'm like, I have a topic in mind. What do you think? You're like, okay, let's do it. And that's the extent of my preparation, other than asking ChatGPT for your intro.
But you earned that by putting in the hours of practicing other at the beginning, right? So you
Yes.
built some confidence, built some trust in yourself that, hey, I can do this. And it takes longer for some people than others. Like it sounds like it didn't take you as many episodes to trust yourself.
Not as many, but what ended up happening was I did send the questions, but what I found was during the podcast, I started asking other questions that weren't even
Mm,
on there. So I was like, why do I need the questions if like I could just come up with them myself? And it's a progression, right? You end up
yep.
you figure those things out as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the hardest part is just doing it, like not having that fear hinder your ability to try these things.
Yeah, that's the only way that you can do something that's kind of worth doing is that you have to go outside of your comfort zone and you can take a half step like I did. Like don't feel like you have to jump into it and do it exactly like someone else is doing it. You got to be on video and like all those things. You could, have a script that you read from and it's only audio like I did and it's like 5 to 10 minutes long. Like do whatever you're comfortable with. Take a baby
Yes.
step.
Yes, yes. We're on video here and we have an audio version. So I do both, but you
Mhm.
only do audio.
I
That's
do.
what's
And I
kind of
still only
cool.
do audio. Do
And,
whatever you want.
and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So everybody can, like I don't think you should go into it and to try to compare yourself to others as well. You
Hmm.
do what you think you're capable of doing. That's not to say you can't grow and get better at things, but don't compare yourself to others. And I think that's a trait of introverts is
Hmm.
we think too much sometimes and we allow that to I don't know, hinder our opportunities because
Hmm.
we're worried about what other people think.
Yeah, yeah. Or what's my measure of success and will I reach it? Because I was very obsessed with download numbers at the beginning because I thought, well, how else will I know if what I'm doing is helping or
Successful. Yeah.
resonating with anybody other than the fact if they're coming back week after week? So, I mean, it is a decent proxy, but if you're thinking, oh, I get this X number of downloads and then compare it to someone else, oh, am I not doing something worthwhile? So, kind of going to the back to the beginning of if you are going to start a podcast, having your why is this important? What am I trying to achieve from it? And ultimately, I was trying to learn about data visualization, connect with other people in the field, and build a portfolio so I could get a job. So I should have really been focusing. I mean, I guess I did. I mean, I succeeded in those things.
Mhm.
But I also felt like I got a little bit sidetracked thinking about download numbers when I really shouldn't, I didn't need to.
It's natural. I mean, we're both data people, so you want to
Yeah.
find
You want a
measures of
number.
success, right? How
Yeah.
do you define success? You usually go to the data, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's easy to think about that after the fact, right? For me to be like, oh, well, it all worked out. So you succeeded. But in the moment, like, I didn't know I was going to eventually, it was eventually going to work. And me getting a job and the networking would be like the main thing I got out of it. So yeah, I kind of had to fall back on this proxy of downloads.
so you had those reasons. I wasn't looking for a job. I still have the same job that I had when I started,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it was more for the networking
Mm-hmm.
because you could go on LinkedIn and network there. Yeah. I mean, you can message people or you could comment and write, which I think are all good things to do. I'm not saying stop doing that. I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's a good thing. But I actually like I talk to people like you because I want to learn from you, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Each episode I learned something. And
And I think the important part is the reason you have the podcast is because if you just email all these people saying, let's hop on a Zoom call for a coffee chat, that's a hard sell for people who
yeah,
are busy, especially like, someone like Alberto Cairo, right? Like he only has so many hours in the day. How many coffee chats can he really have? But if you can kind of almost offer something back to them and say, I have this platform, small, medium, large, whatever, uh, uh,
that's
you
it.
can get in front of my audience in exchange for me chatting with you and exchanging some information and networking. That seems like a much more fair trade. So you're kind of giving first.
You have to, anytime you try to network with people or make connections, you have to offer something,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about you only. It's not what can you get out of it. You got to think, you got to put yourself in their shoes. Like, why would they want to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And this is true not just for podcasts, but just any type of networking. It's helped you and I. I'm fortunate that I have guests on that are, were able to do it. And yes, me saying that I have a podcast, and showing that out there, and I create these short video reels on LinkedIn or TikTok and YouTube Shorts to
Hmm.
kind of promote myself there too. Not really for like I said, I still have the job that I had then is still, well, that's not true. I'm with the same company. I've changed roles within the
Mm.
company, but it's
Hmm.
not like I didn't do it for that purpose. I did it for networking.
Hmm. Which is kind of future proofing, your career in a way, the networking. I think that's why the networking is partially important. I mean, it's really amazing to connect with like-minded people also. But if you are thinking like, I don't really know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, who does, right?
Yeah.
And if you wake up one day, you get laid off, you can't build a network at a drop of a hat.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
You would have had to have done it years in advance, like, whoopsies. I don't have a network to reach out to. But if you start now, you're ready when the time comes, when it comes.
100%. You need to have that network to fall on before you need it.
Yes. Yep. Yep. You can't build it in a second. Unfortunately, that's just not how it works.
Yeah, it's not. And then you become a little desperate at that point because then you're like, you have a time crunch and it's hard. It's hard to start it then.
Yeah. That's when you start asking for those coffee chats and people are like, I, I, I don't have time. And you're like,
Yeah.
but I don't have a job.
Yeah, I
Don't want to be
know.
in that spot for
Yeah, but
sure.
listen, you were in that position and you started the podcast,
Yeah, I did.
right?
Hmm.
And I'm not saying everyone needs to have a podcast. We're talking about this because we're trying to, I guess, talk about our stories and how it's helped us and the
Hmm.
benefits, but people can do other things,
Yeah,
right?
what do you think of some other things? I was thinking like,
Oh.
blogging or just like
Yes, written content.
writing on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
short videos, like you were saying, TikTok, some social media videos.
Yeah. You can video, written content. But here's the
Hmm.
thing now. With AI and generative AI, there's so much content out there that you
Yeah.
don't know if it's real or not. So I think written content is still good,
Yeah.
but you have to make it different and yourself.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I also think there is a huge jump in intimacy to hear someone's voice in your ears. And I think it's even more another jump when you get to see someone on video, but there is quite a connection that you create with someone when they are hearing your voice inside your earbuds and you're walking and like for hours and hours and hours that you can't get when you're blogging. So I think you're definitely right with the AI, but then you're also kind of missing this other intimacy piece that you don't get otherwise.
And that's what when I put content out on LinkedIn, I do it with video.
Mm,
So I'll
hmm.
have the written piece, but I'll also do a short like 30 seconds to 1 minute video.
What do you think about, like, let's say someone is trying to decide, should I do like a podcast, video or audio, or should I just record short form videos or maybe even audio files and put it on social media? What do you think one is better than another?
No, I think they're both good. I think people like the short form because the reality is now people just don't have the same attention span anymore. You need
Mm,
to catch their attention, whether it's in video form or written. Like what are the when you listen to people who promote written content or how to put content out there. Let's suppose on LinkedIn, what do they say? You always need a catch. You need a
the
hook
hook. Yeah, the hook.
because
Hmm.
people aren't going to read the rest. And then also
Hmm.
you don't want to make it too wordy because will they read through the whole thing? So
Hmm.
whether it's through video or through written, you still need to somehow hook them in. And the
Hmm.
short videos work. And what I do is with the short videos, I try to use that as a hook so that they than watch the or listen to the whole podcast long form.
Yeah, I do like social media as more of a top of the funnel type thing, trying to bring them to your back, kind of back to your own world, because that's what I don't really like about social media, where they could change the algorithm or ban you or something could happen to your account. And then this audience that you have built is gone. But with a podcast, you kind of own the audience a little bit more. Like they're coming to Apple Podcasts or they're opening up Spotify and they have subscribed to
Yeah.
your show and your specific episode pops up in their feed and they click play, they know what they're going to get. You don't have that guarantee with social media. So I
Yeah.
would suggest if someone did feel more comfortable starting with social media, start it, but see if you can get people off social media somehow. That could be like a newsletter, or it could be a podcast or a YouTube channel, like something where you kind of have more of a direct line to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, my experience before I started the podcast was so I'm a teacher also. I teach data analytics
Hmm.
part-time. And part of that includes Tableau, SQL, basic data analytics skill sets. But Tableau is my bread and butter. That's what I specialize in. And so my friend had talked to me for years about, creating a YouTube channel. He's like, why don't you go on YouTube and teach people Tableau? This is something that people want to learn.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I'm not comfortable going on video. I like what I'm doing. And then finally, I gave in. I'm like, okay, let me try. And then I created it's intro to Tableau 101,
Hmm.
60 minutes, but I split it up into 10-minute video segments. And I put that on YouTube. And then that was my entry into this getting my voice heard out on through video.
Mm.
And once I put that out there, I realized it's not that bad. And then I'm like, what else can I do? And then I thought, okay, why don't I do podcasts? And then that's when I started my podcast.
Mm.
So for me, it was my experience teaching helped me get there because I got comfortable talking to students. I realized that it held some value what I taught, and if I can leverage that for myself on my channel,
Hmm.
maybe it can help others as well. And so that's kind of how I started. My story's a little bit different than yours, but I think we both got into it with, you know, not like not for ourselves, but I don't know, like it's not the traditional path most people take.
Hmm. Yeah, you can have some sort of mix of skills, I think, and then lean on them and be authentically yourself. So you were leaning onto the teaching skills that you had to kind of like make these kind of half steps into something else, and you will continue to make other half steps as you continue on your path. But I think that people also they like to learn from others and they also like to see the journey. Also, I think that's what people resonated with when they saw my me sharing my journey on Data Viz Today, talking about, hey, I was upfront. I am not a Data Viz designer. And I'm learning. I'm trying to be. So here's something I learned and here's how I'm applying it. So I didn't posture myself as an immediate expert on day one. I was a learner, just like the listener. They might have been ahead of me. They could be behind me. They could be along with me. But it's very authentic and it's meaningful.
Here's the thing, we're still learners.
Oh yeah, always.
Like you can never stop learning. I still
Mm-hmm.
learn. I think the moment you stop learning, that's when it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you think you got it done. You got it all.
Exactly, exactly. You have to stay grounded and humble in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think these are all things that people think about when and why they may be afraid to do things themselves. But listen, we throw out ideas, podcasts, newsletters, written form,
Mm-hmm.
short videos. Um, what about in-person networking?
Yeah, I think go like an easy thing to do would be just to go to some sort of local meetup. Like here we have Data Viz DC, a really great local meetup, and they get local speakers to come. And, beforehand, a lot of times they serve dinner, just kind of like a buffet type thing. So you grab a plate of something and you can start chatting with someone. And that is an easy way to make connections. You're especially if you're coming over and over again, you're seeing some of the same people. And a lot of times they'll the person organizing will be like, be talking to them and they'll say, "Hey, what are you working on? Oh, that's actually really interesting. Would you be interested in presenting at some point?"
Yeah.
And most people are like, "Oh no, no, thank you." But maybe you are going to choose to be brave that one time and do make a presentation, and someone listening is like, "Oh, we're actually hiring for someone like this. You would be amazing." And then your career takes another veer off. So putting yourself out there in person is, I think, super, super amazing, but also super, super hard,
Yeah, but
especially if you're
here,
an introvert.
well, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's draining,
The
especially at the
intro,
end of a day. Oh,
it is, and so the introvert's listening to what you're just saying, and then saying like, "Oh, I can't
no
do
way.
that. I am not going to a networking event, not talking to people. Those are for the extroverts, right?"
hmm But actually, I have found okay, if you don't want to do that, think about maybe if you can collaborate with one or maybe two other people or three even on something. It doesn't like a personal project.
Mm,
So you can meet people online and then maybe they live around you and then you can meet up and be thinking about working on a particular project. A small example is I was creating, I guess this was back in 2020. I was started this 100-day project where I was making a Data Viz wallpaper. So like imagining in 1920, what would a Data Viz designer's wallpaper look like? In
mm,
1921, what it would look like. So I was just practicing my illustration skills. And through that, I met someone named Mesa Schumacher, who is a scientific illustrator.
mm,
And she was doing a 100-day project where she was illustrating different animals. And then I asked her, I was like, could I create a pattern, like a wallpaper pattern based on one of your animals? And she was like, yeah, sure, go for it. So I did it. And then she decided I shared it on Twitter back when Twitter was a thing. She took my pattern and created like a hat or like a piece of clothing for the animal from
mm.
my pattern and put it on the animal and then shared it. And so it's this beautiful, like, uh, collaboration chain creativity type thing. And it just kind of organically came about and it was just so fun and it kind
But
of raised both of our profiles too.
what initiated that? It was you asking.
Yeah, yeah, me just reaching out like a no low stakes no stakes question to her.
Like, what's the risk? What's the worst that could, that's what I ask myself whenever there's something I want to do. I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
If it's
Yeah,
just they say no, then
yeah, she says, oh no thank you. I'm like, okay.
yeah, it's not too bad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice chatting
Um,
with you.
yeah, exactly. It happens all the time. I mean,
It's
you don't. Um, are you a sports fan?
pickleball if you consider that.
Okay, do you like hockey?
I don't really watch it. I don't mind
Okay,
it.
but you may have heard this saying: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Ah, yep. Was that Wayne Gretzky?
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's a sports analogy, but it applies in all aspects of life.
Yep. Yeah. Something similar. You can't steer a stationary ship. How are you going to get to where you want to go if you're not moving?
Yes, that's a good one too.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
got to start going and then you can start steering.
What else? We should just make this a podcast about on analogies, right?
Just keep the quotes coming,
Keep the
inspirational
quotes
quotes.
coming. Yeah. Actually, I used to, when I was in school, in high school, we used to have like a homeroom class in the beginning. And me being an introvert, back then I was so shy. Like I hated public speaking. I
Hmm.
hated talking. I just sat and like would read my book or do something. And this is what I would do. I'd take a book of quotes. I'd buy a book of quotes, and
Hmm.
every day for like 10 minutes in homeroom, I would just read through the quotes to get inspiration.
Oh, I like that. I mean, it's like, I bet it was kind of meditative even.
It was, yeah. It was.
Well, and speaking of speaking, do you
Mm.
feel like as you have kind of gained your confidence in podcasting, has that changed the way you are showing up at work at all in terms
Yes.
of speaking?
Yes. And that's the other thing. I think that's the other benefit is this helps you professionally, gives you confidence to speak up. And whereas before you may have been shy or not confident, now you're like, listen, I you put in the reps, you eventually get better at it and you're not afraid to do it. It doesn't mean I'm an extrovert now. I still am
Hmm.
an introvert and I'm still a proud introvert.
Hmm.
It's not there's nothing wrong with being one.
No, not at
People
all.
tend to think of an introvert with a negative connotation, but I don't see it that way. I actually think introverts can be more productive than extroverts or more impactful than
Hmm.
extroverts because of our ability to think first.
Mm. And you tend to listen a little bit more
You
too, I
listen
think.
more, and those are things that people like,
Well,
right?
and if you are, let's say, working on a new project or maybe if you're a freelancer and you're working with a client and you need to tease out the requirements, you have to ask a lot of questions. You need to do a lot of listening.
Hmm.
So interviewing has helped me build that skill of trusting myself to know what's the next question I need to ask and also building the skill of asking questions and waiting for answers, not just like taking the conversation wherever I want it to go.
Yeah. So So what if somebody's listening here and like, okay, I don't want to do this on my personal. What if I start at work and get let my voice like have like I want to be heard in my workspace, right? At
Mm-hmm.
work. So how do they get started there? What's the step? Like what do they do? What's the first step there?
I think you could do a couple different things. I think you could, if you had some sort of way to do some sort of brown bag kind of teaching thing, like, oh, during lunch, I'm
Hmm.
going to share with my team how I built this dashboard. And, everyone just kind of brings their lunch into the conference room and then you share screen and you just talk through it. So, kind of do, like you said, like some teaching type
Yeah,
things at a very small scale. I think that also if you did something where you I think the smallest step for me that I would have been most comfortable with if I were talking to data analyst Alli
yeah.
in 2010 would be to write down a list of questions, like maybe 5 questions that I would like to ask during this meeting that's coming up. And will I have the opportunity to sit there and punch through 5 questions? Probably not, but I will have thought about it ahead of time. And one of those questions will probably be pertinent at some point and I have to make sure that I interject and ask at least one
Mm.
of those questions during that meeting so that I just get used to thinking ahead of time and then finding an appropriate moment where I can ask a smart question. I think that would be a really
I
nice
like
baby
that.
step.
I
Hmm.
like that because what you're doing is instead of taking the time to think about the question in the meeting,
Mm,
and then potentially not having the time to ask it because you're thinking for too long, you're
yeah.
thinking beforehand and you have it ready to ask in the meeting.
Yeah. And actually thinking about it, maybe 3 questions would probably be better. Like in my mind, like I can't hold 5 questions in my head, but I could probably remember the gist of 3 questions and I would definitely write it down and be kind of looking at it. So maybe come ready with 3 questions and then make sure you get at least one of them answered. That would be an amazing start. And when people hear you asking smart questions, they're going to start thinking more of you like, oh, we should bring Allie in this meeting. She always asks good questions.
Yeah, that's a very underrated skill set
Hmm.
that I think it's not about people think that if you have all the answers, people will think you know what you're doing. But
Yeah.
if you're asking the right questions, that holds as much value.
Yeah, and I think it builds trust too. If you think about a meeting that you're in and someone always has an answer, especially before you even finish a question, you're kind of annoyed. Like
Yeah,
you
it's
didn't even
true.
take a second to think about it. But if someone's listens to you and then
Yeah.
asks you a question and gives you space to answer, oh my gosh, I trust you.
And then you want to talk to them.
Hmm.
You don't want to talk to the person who has all the answers.
Yep. And then interrupts you and is not even
Yeah.
really listening to process. Like, there's no way you could have processed that question.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, does it make a difference if you're remote or in person? because now I
Mm,
think when you're remote, you can prepare better or maybe have those questions, you know,
like on your screen.
on
Yeah.
your screen. But in person, you can't, you're not going to walk in. Well, you could walk in with a paper, but you don't want to look down and ask
Yeah.
the questions. You want it to be natural too, right?
hmm Yeah, I think you're right. It probably is easier to have kind of like the cheat sheet in front of you when you're virtual. But what would be nice if, a lot of people are hybrid now, maybe you could start with the virtual, like you kind of raising your hand or, interrupting whatever you have to do in order to ask a question virtually. That might be easier to start with. And then when you are in person, kind of graduate to asking questions in person. Although I don't know what you think. I kind of feel like it's harder to interrupt a virtual meeting
Yes,
than it is, don't you think? Because nobody
I
can read your
agree.
body language. So
I
sometimes
agree.
maybe it is easier to interrupt or
I feel
interject.
like I feel like when it's virtual, you speak up if there's something that's worthy to be said, whereas in person, there's a lot of small talk.
That's true.
And the small
Before and
talk,
after, right?
yeah, before and after and you it kind of eases you into it. And so, yeah, I think sometimes it's easier to do it in person.
Yeah, or people can kind of see by your body language that you it looks like you want to say something. On Zoom, you have to actually click the raise hand
Yes,
button.
yes, yes, yes.
Or like unmute and like really actually interrupt someone's kind of harshly. So that, yeah, maybe it is easier to be in person. I experiment with it, like we don't have all the answers, but you have
No,
to at least try. You got to try
yeah.
something.
I mean, I've gone through. I'm fully remote now, but I've been in person pre-COVID. I was in person all the time. There's pros and cons in both in respect to getting noticed. Um, Sometimes people feel it's easier to get noticed in person because, to be honest, when you're working by yourself at home, no one really sees what you're doing. At
hmm
work, they can physically see that you're at your desk or you're doing something, or you pass by somebody's desk and you ask them a question. I don't know, it could spark different conversations.
hmm
It's harder to do that remotely. I feel that for introverts, um, that just adds another layer
Yeah,
of,
difficulty.
difficulty.
Yeah, and when you want to get I I have come to appreciate how important it is to be top of mind. So when someone is thinking, well, who would be best to lead this project or who's up for promotion? The another quote, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That is
Mm.
a quote for a reason, but you don't have to be squeaky wheel as in if you're complaining about something, but you do want to be top of mind. So, raising your profile in some kind of way because you're actively participating and asking questions in meetings, I think that's kind of what the bottom line that we're getting to is raising your profile. It really does just mean you're participating and staying top of mind in a positive way so that when these opportunities come along, you're literally at the top of someone's mind and they're like who should we pick for this? Oh, okay, this person that has been consistently showing up and showing me that they're paying attention is the person I want to be leading this.
Can you ask too many questions?
Yeah, I think you probably could. It might be a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
You're just
So,
constantly, don't
and
you
I'm
think?
saying this because I'm saying this based on experience. I know
hmm
people who have been in meetings and there's no meeting that passes without this person asking
Uh,
a question.
hmm
And everybody knows that it's going to come
Yeah.
to the point where sometimes it just gets a little annoying.
Does it feel belligerent or is it more of, are you just asking this to be, to hear yourself talk? Is it
That's
kind
what
of,
it feels like. It
uh,
feels like they're asking it because they not want to, maybe they just want to get noticed and they just
mm,
want to make sure. And yeah, I mean, I know we're talking about asking questions here to get noticed. Yes,
hmm
right. But I think you also have to have a balance, right? Like ask good questions, not
Yes, and
ask
that's why you
questions.
prepare. That's why
That's
you
why you
prepare,
prepare. Yeah.
right? Yeah. And then you don't be so afraid like, "Oh, I don't want to ask this because this isn't like the most brilliant question of all time." Sometimes a good question is, "Can you tell me more about that thing that you just mentioned?" A lot of times that is a really great, powerful question because it helps someone expand and clarify what they were talking about so that you can ask a more pointed question. So, yeah, don't ask questions just to kind of fill the space and be top of mind, make sure that you're doing it so that you can actually be in service of the project.
Yeah. Yeah. Good points. What else? Anything else? Any advice, other advice you have um to how to get your data voice heard or get yourself out there or why we should do it?
Hmm. I think part of sharing your voice and your opinions, there's something about doing that that actually helps clarify the way that you think. You sometimes it's hard to know, especially at the beginning. I remember when I was doing Data Viz stuff, someone might be like, oh, should we use this type of color palette here? Or should we truncate the Y axis? Like questions like that where you should probably have an opinion. And I thought, I don't have an opinion on any of these things. I don't know. But talking about them actually helps you start to clarify what your opinions are and your point of view and the way that you think and how you think and the depth of your thinking. So I think that is also another benefit of putting yourself out there, whether it be a podcast or you're sharing your journey in some kind of a way. It's going to help you clarify that the way you think, and then you are going to find yourself becoming more of an expert more quickly, I think.
Yeah. I think you, the other point you made is it's okay not to know all the answers.
Hmm.
You don't have to know the answers. You can
Yeah.
say like I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And going and
And
looking and
sometimes
researching.
it's actually refreshing to hear people say that, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. Especially when it's so easy for you to get like a ChatGPT answer, right? It is nice for someone to be like, well, I kind of think this, but I'm not sure about that. I'm going to research and I'll get back to you. I'm like,
If
okay.
if ChatGPT was a person, they would be that annoying person that knows it all.
Yeah. That has just a lot of words, like word
That has a
vomit.
lot of words
Eventually we'll get to something good.
and will make up questions, hallucinate
Yeah.
all the time, right?
I wonder if that's going to become part of the just what things people say. Like, are you hallucinating right now? When
Have you- I feel like it's people are already saying it
are
now.
they? That's funny.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's yeah. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it, yeah, I love ChatGPT, but in real life ChatGPT, if if there was an actual robot that was ChatGPT,
Hmm.
actually it would be pretty supportive of you, but also, would probably never shut up also.
Yeah, yeah. It would be the know-it-all,
It
know-it-all in
would
the
be the
room.
know-it-all,
Very
yeah.
kind, but you are kind of a know-it-all.
That's interesting. Anyways, that's not happening now. Who knows? 5 years from now, we might have robots walking around and
We'll
doing that.
see.
We'll see. AI could be a whole other topic we can talk about, but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. But listen, this has been great, Ali. I did have some quick rapid fire questions
Oh,
for you.
nice. All right, I'm
You're
ready.
ready?
Yep,
Okay.
ready.
One word that describes your communication style.
Ah, energetic.
Yeah, I see
Hmm.
that. I
Yes.
see that.
Maybe a little too energetic. Sometimes I gotta like dial it down, but
Oh, I think you have a good balance. Good. The most underrated skill in data storytelling.
ah, underrated skill in data storytelling. I would say that is thinking about what you want the final action to be. So are you going into this data story, you want someone to make a decision, take an action, or are you just sharing information so they completely know about the situation? A lot of times we go into
Mm,
it being like, oh, I'm just sharing a bunch of information about this, which legit might be legitimate,
yeah.
but if you think ahead of time, do I need an action out of this or do I need a decision out of this? That's really going to help you lead the whole data storytelling process so that you get that thing you need at the end.
That's part of data storytelling, though. It's not just giving the story, but then like, what do I do with it? What's the actions, and how do you measure success?
Right. But people forget that, right? All the
They do.
time.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. Um, when people say data storytelling, oftentimes they think it's, oh, let me just tell stories,
Hmm.
and it's easy. It's not. You have to. It's structured.
Yeah, it's structured.
It
Yeah.
is
It's a
structured, and
process.
there's a good way to do it. Yeah, especially with data.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, One thing you wish every data professional would stop doing in meetings.
One thing to stop doing in meetings. I, like when they put a chart up and then they're like, oh, sorry, I know this is too small to read, but like, well, then don't you have control over the
Yeah,
fonts? Like, make it
exactly.
bigger for me. That's really
True.
annoying. Like, up that font. Like, why does it need to be a 10-point font? Nobody can see this. Like, make it as big as possible.
What about when people share their screen and say, "Can you see my screen?"
Oh, yeah.
How often has the answer been no? Very rarely, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say whenever I use Teams, because I use Zoom, but when I use Teams, sometimes it is a little bit confusing. Can you actually see my screen?
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess
But
if you're changing tools, I think it's fair to say that. But if
fair enough.
everybody at your company is always using Zoom and everybody knows how to use Zoom, you should probably know by now.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I have one more question. Okay. The hardest part about being heard in the data world.
Ah, I think it's hard to feel like you have a new perspective or a new opinion because
Mm.
everybody has written the article about, pie charts and what are the pros and cons of pie charts and why not truncate the y-axis on a bar chart. So kind of when you're first starting in the field, I think it's hard for you to know where to interject your voice. And you're like, everything's already been talked about already. Like, why am I talking about pie charts now? Everyone already has. So I think that's hard. And I think that's probably why I went for the here's my journey kind of perspective because
Mm.
nobody else has that my unique journey. So I think that's where anybody could start if you don't know what your unique perspective is. Some people do like, oh, I came from this field, so therefore I have this interesting take on data viz because I came from somewhere that nobody else really has this expertise in this thing. So that's really nice. But if you don't have that, maybe it could be something about your personal journey that could be
Yeah,
your unique take.
but I don't feel it's. I don't think you have to have new content or like if you're good at something, talk about it. You don't have to like pretend like you know it all or you
Yeah,
know something
but
that
don't you think?
it's
Do you think that I think that some people feel like maybe that holds them back from sharing because they're like, people have already said this already, so why am I saying it again? Do you think?
yeah, probably. Um, I question that myself too. Sometimes when I share stuff on LinkedIn, if I write a post or create a video, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, is this worthwhile? Do people already know this? Or have they heard this already? But I think it gets back to like it's if you make it personal and people always hearing you say it,
Mm-hmm.
it just helps, I don't know, create that attachment to your
Mm-hmm.
audience, right?
Also, you might explain it in a way that finally clicks with someone and the way
Differently.
they've heard it before. Like, I didn't really get that before, but now the way that you say it, I get it. So, yeah,
Yeah.
don't underestimate your take.
Yeah, that's true. The way that you explain something and I explain something, even though we're saying the same thing, will be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people can relate to certain people differently.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So don't underestimate your take on things. Even if you feel like everybody's heard it before, the way you said it will be different.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. No, that's a great way to end. So Ali, how can people get in touch with you? How can they connect with you?
Yeah, you can go on LinkedIn if you would like. I am literally the only Alli Torban around. So if you Google it, you will find me. So connect with me on LinkedIn. You can listen to Data Viz Today wherever you get your podcast, maybe in the
Mhm.
same app that you're listening to this podcast on.
Yeah.
And yeah, allitorban.com too.
Awesome. Great. This has been great, Ali. Love this conversation. It's always good when we have um I'm not saying all my guests aren't great, but I don't know. When you have two people who do podcasts. I feel like it's I don't know. I felt like I was like a guest on part of this podcast because you were asking me questions. I'm
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh,
You can't hide the, you can't take the podcaster out of the podcaster.
exactly. So it's all good, and hopefully it created a nice, engaging conversation that people will enjoy and get some good takeaways from. So
So too.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and leave a rating or review. It really helps more data nerds discover the show. You can find all episodes, plus exclusive merch like the Data Nerd hat, and more at thedatanerdpodcast.com. Until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and embrace your inner data nerd.